Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. One is here, and of course another one next door. So they are pitting us against each other. So can we give a rap? They will suspect something. Okay, you probably for the industry. I hope that means my 6 months bonus is in too. But speaking of bonus, right? We are very fortunate. We have a very distinguished speakers, and just to set a bit of context to this, because last year during MOGSEC 2024 we had the pleasure of having the minister then, well now Datuk Seri Rafizi Ramli, and he spoke about the need to have the CCUS Act, the rush, the economic benefit, and a bit on how the OGACs can play into it, what they mean to OGACs. Now, the continuation of that is we now have the act. Well, it was a bill then, it's not an act. So we want to know now what comes next. Hence, from a very macro level, we have Dato' Azmi here to speak about that. And I think we should give a bit of focus as well for now to Pahang, because the CO2 gathering station now is under design stage. So it means there's something happening there. So from an idea, from a build and act, something is happening. So that's the context setting of why we have it here and why the subject is carbon capture and clean growth, turning net zero into economic opportunities. Okay, now we shall start. I think we have an hour. Yeah, we have about an hour. Okay. So Dato' Azmi, Dato' Liza, thank you for joining us today. Balance of climate action, and of course for economic growth. I mean, that's why we have Kementerian Economy as a fully fledged ministry now from those days in EPU. Now, from your perspective, how can this industry, this new industry, capture carbon capture, and in fact going to the U and the S as well? How can that be done as a clean growth, not only on the environmental responsibility, but how that can drive the new industry, jobs and investment at the national level?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, it's not too late that I wanted to say Selamat Hari Kebangsaan to all of us, because of it shows that how we appreciate the hard fought our forefathers towards independence. And I really believe most of us here are born after 1957. We have a lot of things to fulfill the dreams of our forefathers for the future and for the forward-looking policies. So that's the reason why we in Ministry of Economy looking at it in terms of how to make sure between environment and economic development, we must work hand in hand. Because of, as we know that those days between environment and economic development, normally there are clash. We wanted to develop our economy, at the same time the environment also come in to say that this kind of effort can harm the environment. So from the perspective of to eliminate the clash between environment and economic development, so there's reason CCUS are coming. Why CCUS? Because of the way we look at it is we really cannot run away from so-called the industry, we call it hard to abate industry. We still have to have so-called oil and gas industry, cement industry, which always people put in as a threat to the environment. So CCUS, of course, capturing the carbon, store the carbon, and how we can utilize the carbon for the future can be intermediaries for us to pushing the industry or the economic growth. So based on that importance of CCUS, the Act is already passed to Parliament and it's already in use by August 2025. And based on that, we foresee the importance of the industry to come in and make sure that this particular industry of CCUS can be implemented in the country. So why this is important is because of when we are talking about green economy, we cannot run away from 4 strategies: facilitating the carbon industry trading, strengthening the CCUS industry, expand the access to green financing, and to boost the demand and supply of green products. So this value chain or this the strategy must be utilized by the industry to make sure that these 4 strategies can be implemented and making the pushing the economic growth towards certain level. Because of when we are talking about CCUS, we are not only talking about the storage, we are also talking about the other industry. Transportation industry is in play. The inventions or the innovations towards how we can use the carbon to make sure that this particular carbon can be used by humankind. So this thinking we have to put in, and the industry player is really important for us to assist so-called how we can develop together the CCUS industry all over the country. We are not only talking about Peninsula or Sabah or Sarawak, but for Malaysia as a whole.
Thank you, Dato'. So, point noted that conventionally it clashes, but now it's a matter of harmonizing it, so it can actually become part of the solution rather than a problem to the environment. Okay. Now let's go to Dato' Miza. Now, Pahang as a state is rich in natural resources and biodiversity. And in fact, when I met you in Kuching a few weeks back, I was quite attracted when you said that Sarawak. You know, I had to ask you, what are you doing in Kuching? That was during International Energy Week, and the answer you gave me was quite illuminating, saying Pahang is quite similar to Sarawak. Of these factors, that you are rich in natural resources and biodiversity and strategically positioned for industrial growth. Currently, there are industrial areas there. But how do you see this carbon capture and related clean technologies fitting into your investment agenda? And what sort of opportunities can this mean for the locals?
Thank you, Amir, and thank you, Dato' Nur Azmi. It's an honor to be in the same panel as you. I remember last year, Dato' Nur Azmi, the then Minister, Dato' Sri Rafizi Ramli, came over to Pahang to extol the virtues and benefits of CCUS. And I can't believe right now we're at the cusp of implementing it. As far as CCUS in Pahang is concerned, I believe they're targeting first injection for 2029. And final investment decision will be reached sometime next year. And as Dato' Nur Azmi rightly mentioned, they've already received the royal assent for the bill, so now it's a matter of taking it to the next stage. And I also might like to mention to the MC, Pahang is not as far as you think. Bentong is only 1 hour away. But unfortunately I'm in Pekan, so that's 3 hours away drive from here. But if I step it up a little bit, maybe I can do it in 2 hours 15 minutes. But anyway, jokes aside, I think it's a really exciting development. If you take the global context, right now the world is emitting 38 billion tons of CO2. That's a lot of CO2 that we need to capture. And for the moment, I think at this point in time, there's probably there's probably around 650 CCUS projects active around the world. And CCUS as a fraction is only 0.1% at the moment. Only 50 million tons per annum is being used to capture CO2 at this point in time. So what the world needs to do is really ramp up CCUS in the coming years, right? So that we can capture a bigger slice of that 38 billion tons that's right out there. And that's not even counting for future developments. And we have data centers sprouting everywhere, you know, in Johor, in Lembah Kelang, that could add up to the 38 or 40 billion pounds. We are really going to power our AI development. So there's a lot happening, and in the global context as well. We just received news that Northern Lights in Norway, they've just done their first injection of CCUS. That facility can capture 37 million tons per annum. And then there's a similar development going on in Port of Rotterdam. It's project name goes by the name of Portos. Yeah, from the Port of Rotterdam, they are going to capture CCUS from hard to abate industries and channel it to the North Sea, which is just 20 km away. And interesting enough, another similar project is named Aramis. I don't know, for some reason those projects are named after the three musketeers in Holland. So I think if they do a third project, it probably name Athos. But anyway, the point is, the industry worldwide is serious about building carbon capture and storage. So we're seeing developments, a lot of developments in Europe and elsewhere. And I'm told in China they already have 11 projects or so running. But CCUS, carbon capture and storage, it's not a silver bullet. I mean, it's not via CCUS alone that you can solve the challenges of global warming, right? If you're serious about meeting the goal set by the Paris Climate Change Agreement, which is to keep the temperature below 2%, right? So we need to deploy every single means and tools at our disposal to address climate change. And CCUS is just one of it. The rest could be nature-based solutions like using carbon sinks, planting more trees. It could be biochar, right? I've read somewhere you can gather dead wood and agricultural wasteland, put it through a process called pyrolysis, and then you can store carbon inside what do you call it? A pellet, yeah, pellets. Thank you. It's called pellets for long-term storage. That's another form of carbon removal. You need to be more energy efficient. Yeah, we need to stop wasting electricity, and we need to drive more electric cars. So there's a lot of things that we need to do. Carbon storage is just one of it. In the context of Pahang, it is one of three locations which is designated for carbon capture and storage. I think Sarawak is quite the leader in that regard, because they have the Kasawari project that's going to be ready soon, I'm told. So for Pahang, it gives us an exciting opportunity to be part of the oil and gas upstream, because traditionally Pahang, we're always operating at the downstream side. We have the petrochemicals business in Gebeng. There's Petronas BASF there. They're producing all kinds of chemicals and liquids. Some of it I can't even pronounce, but there you go. So a lot of petrochemicals there, and we've never had any upstream presence all this while. So having CCUS gives us a toehold or a foothold into the upstream oil and gas business. At least Terengganu they have some claim to oil and gas royalty, but it's not the case for Pahang. Although my boss, the Menteri Besar, is really convinced there's still some oil off the coast of Pahang. We probably need the help of MOG, SC and Petronas to confirm that. I'm told we haven't covered all the seismic activity to find oil in Pahang, but there's probably some more. But then again, it's probably counterproductive to what we're trying to do, which is to save the planet. Yeah, so it gives us a foothold into the upstream business. But I'm glad to share this year we will be launching our Pahang Economic Transformation Plan. Under the Pahang Economic Transformation Plan, we're focusing on 6 industries. One of it is being renewable energy, automation. No, sorry, not automation, but automotive. Yeah, we'll probably like to see more EV. There's a company wanting to do EV charging stations throughout Pahang. We're focusing on tourism, so we hope to have a lot more eco resorts in Pahang, and agriculture, definitely because we have big landmass in Pahang. The area is around 36 square kilometers. To give an indication, is almost the same size as Holland and Taiwan. And we have 56% forest coverage still. And we like to keep it that way. And it's the water catchment area for Peninsular Malaysia. Yeah, just imagine if Pahang were to cut all its trees, we won't have any water supplies left. So I don't think we're adequately compensated in that regard. But that's a story for another day. So under the Economic Transformation Plan, aside from the 6 industries, our goal is to become a 100 billion ringgit economy by 2030. 100 billion ringgit economy by 2030. And last year, we posted our economic growth and our economy grew by 5.8%, which is faster than Malaysia. Malaysia was 5.1%. And that's for the 3rd year running. So we're in the group of states, same league as Johor, Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, 4 states which have growth rates that surpass the national average, the national growth rate. And last year in 2024, our economy is worth 68 billion ringgit. So to grow from 68 billion ringgit to 100 billion ringgit by 2030, we need to focus on 74 high impact projects. One of it is carbon capture and storage, which we feel will move the needle in terms of the GDP numbers, in terms of employment, etc. Another goal of the Economic Transformation Plan is to reduce our carbon emissions by 45% come 2030. So that ties in nicely. CCUS, carbon capture, actually in Pahang it's not CCUS, it's CCS. We don't do utilization just to capture and store. CCS, by some estimates, I think we can generate 60,000 job opportunities throughout the value chain of carbon capture and storage in Pahang. Right, you have people working in Kuantan Port, building the terminal, storing the CO2. We have people working on board ships, because this carbon capture and storage will be cross-border. Right? We are anticipating a specialized liquid CO2 ships that shall be coming from storage poor countries or countries with limitation of storage like Japan, Korea and Singapore. They will be piping CO2 from their hard-to-abate industries into specialized ships, which will then sail to Kuantan Port to be stored there temporarily at the terminal, and from the terminal it will be piped through 5 km through our shores and then into the sea, into the Duyung depleted reservoir. Yeah, so there will be 60,000 job opportunities there, from regulators, from specialist engineering, and from support activities from the energy sector, yeah, including the humble food caterer and everyone else that will be needed to actually make this carbon capture and storage work. And based on Dr. Hazlan's talk, I heard psychologists will be included as well, yeah, to ensure good mental health. There's some of the job opportunities available, and at peak construction, by some estimates, we'll have 30,000 people working on construction at that facility. And based on Kasawari, I think the investments will be anywhere between 7 to 9 billion ringgit as an estimate throughout the value chain. And for the first phase, Petronas and its consortium, they are looking to store 5 million tons per annum over 20 years. But I think that could grow based on supply and demand. And it is estimated too that the 3 carbon capture and storage sites within Malaysia, they can capture up to 80 million tons per annum at this point in time. However, we have not accounted for the saline aquifers and the other depleted reservoirs. So the figure could be much larger. It could go all the way to over 1 billion gigatons if we're serious about exploring carbon capture and storage. So lots of opportunities. So this is a pioneering effort. We hope it will go well. And there's a lot of other benefits to the local Pahang economy as well. For one, we can position Kuantan Port as a green port, right? So to my mind, I always felt that Kuantan Port should be as big as Port Klang. We're not quite there yet, but I think with CCS being part of the equation in Kuantan Port, I think it will go a long way to boost the port's profile and of course its revenue to be able to stand tall as the other big ports within Malaysia. And it can help our hard-to-abate industries to decarbonize as well. We have large steel plants on the East Coast. We have Alliance Steel in Gebeng, in Pahang. We have Eastern Steel. We have the petrochemical complex in Gebeng too. We have cement industries. They all can benefit from CCS being on the East Coast. And I agree with Dr. Hazlan, there needs to be carbon pricing involved, right? Some form of carbon tax to incentivize the hard-to-abate industries, these companies, to actually move to store CCS. Yeah, and the price of carbon pricing should be higher than the cost of storage. Otherwise, there won't be any incentive for them to keep their CO2 underneath the ground in offshore Malaysia, offshore the East Coast states of Malaysia. So a lot of things we need to do there. So interesting times, really.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dato'. That's comprehensive. But you must have really sold off this whole thing to Pahang. He's bored. All the figures you mentioned, so you're fully convinced. I believe it's like music to your ears because you're fully subscribed to it, moving towards it, and facilitating, of course, the federal government in making this happen. But then if I move to Dato' Azmi now, it seems like things are moving there. We've heard a few weeks back in IEW, Sarawak is also moving along with this. But one of the items, or maybe one of the points that Minister Dan Rafizi said, it was a race to make sure that we can still be competitive, because it's not only us who are vying or offering this storage for CO2. We have Australia coming up, we have Indonesia as well. So in your mind, how do we position this? How can we be the preferred choice, versus the other countries? Because it is going to be a bit of a competition, like it or not.
Thank you, Sir Rami, on that notes. Before I go into that notes, in terms of planning, what we are plan to do is, of course, East Coast is our preference for development of CCUS, because we know that at this point of time there are depleted oil field is in East Coast. So in terms of economic development, what type of development that we need to push into the East Coast, because of the facilities already there, the what we call the development of oil and gas is also there in Kemaman, in Kuantan, whatnot. So this is the opportunity for us to push and to make sure that economic development in East Coast still intact. And at the same time, we know that Malaysia are really pushing for FDI, foreign direct investment. And currently seems like the concentrations is in Central, Lembah Kelang, Penang, Johor. What will happen to East Coast? So that's reason the carbon capture or CCS wanted to concentrate in East Coast, because of with that thinking the FDI will go into the East Coast apparently. So that's reason Pahang, I believe, really buy in with the ideas to make sure that effort in terms of pushing the industry in Pahang, in Terengganu, also in Kelantan will be benefited through CCUS. And when we are talking about competitions, the competitions is, I think in economics is normal. Of course Indonesia is offering, Australia also offering, but we have some advantage because of, first, the manpower. The second one, I really believe, because of the trust to the Malaysia in terms of on how we deal with the investment, we deal with the so-called the stability that we had, and the opportunity in terms of economic opportunity is tremendous in the country. That's reason we are really pushing the bill, the act. We are just taking around 8 months to finish it, the so-called the bill, and Alhamdulillah we managed by last August. It's already passed in Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara, and it's already can be implemented. Now we are in the phase of implementing so-called the act with the assistance of everybody in terms of how we can make sure the CCUS really come into play in our economy. And prior to the act, we already launched National Energy Transition Roadmap, which CCS is one of the key elements in terms of how we can make sure the NETR really in play, and at the same time CCUS can support so-called the aspirations of national energy transitions. We are putting very high target by 2050 net zero, but if it is only a target without any plan or without any effort towards achieving so-called the net zero, we really just saying without doing the right things, Sorame. So there's reason we in Ministry of Economy really adamant to push forward the CCUS, and then of course we have some difficulties because of when we are talking about capturing and storage the carbon, people normally says that we are a dumping ground for the waste, what we call. But then without effort towards storing the carbon, So what will happen to the so-called the emitters? So there's reason we have to work hand in hand with environment in order for us to push forward the economic development without harming so-called the world apart. Okay? So this is the idea that we wanted to make sure the economic development can go through. We can push forward the economic development, and at the same time, the so-called the industry, hard-to-abate industry, can still flourish in the country. Sarawak.
Thank you, Dato' Azmi. Now, I think good time to ask question to both of you. So this is open, so anyone can go first. And this is a fireside chat, so I'm going to throw a bit of fire here. Right, national policy often moves at one speed, and state government will have their own investment realities. Now, what do you see as the biggest tension? And getting the synergy together between the federal and your countrywide policies versus then maybe the state's own roadmap on the development.
Rami, on these questions, we are not looking into how between the states and the federal government. We must work hand in hand, you see, for the benefit of the economic development of the country. And there is no issues of competing between federal and states. Actually, we have to work together in terms of planning because of, after all, international will look at us as a country, not as a state. Of course, there are effort by the states to push or to make sure the FDI also come in to the states. That one, of course, we leave it to each and every state to push the investment. After all, when we are talking about investment of FDI come into the country, the numbers of FDI to the countries can be increased. So there is no issues in terms of competitions at the federal and the states because of we plan to make sure that each and everyone can be benefited by the so-called economic growth of the country. So that's important for us, and it's up to state on how to make sure, based on the policy that we have, then the economy can be flourished. Besides that, Saudara Amir, another issues that on the CCUS, if you look at the way we did, we are not coming with the taxations before CCUS, carbon pricing, carbon tax. We are not at big at this point of time. The most important for us currently is how to do a policy and make sure that before we introduce whatever tax on the carbon emissions or whatnot, the options being given to the industry to make sure that they have an options, right? Then only, if the industry reluctant to innovate or reluctant to try to utilize so-called the carbon emitters, then only the tax come in. So that's the thinking that we have. We have to give an options to the industry before the taxations or policy on the pricing come in.
Do you agree? Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I agree with Dr. Noazwi. Should work hand in hand with federal, and I've mentioned the Pahang Economic Transformation Plan, and we took great pains to actually be aligned to federal policy in terms of the energy transition plan, and then a new industrial master plan, so that we're both on the same page. And at the same time, what I feel Pahang can do better is to increase our ease of doing business. If we're serious about attracting foreign direct investment, we should streamline our processes, make it easier for the investor to come in and invest in Pahang. Less red tape, faster approvals, faster decisions. I think we could do better then, and we welcome any federal assistance that you can offer, in the same way that you've assisted Johor to speed up its processes with the special economic zone that's been much talked about in Johor. So that's one. So that's important because we need to reduce the cost of doing business in Pahang. If we can do that, I think the investment numbers in Pahang will increase. But at the same time, I'm aware that federal government, they have to look after 14 states, almost like looking after 14 children. How do you share the love between 14 states, right? So from Pahang perspective, I think if we get enough support, or in Bahasa Melayu, enough kasih sayang from federal, I think we should be okay. So, but traditionally, in my opinion, I think the engines of growth has always been West Coast or Peninsular Malaysia, states like Lembah Kelang, Johor, Penang. So it's time. I may be putting on my Pahang hat here and being a bit more biased, but I think it's time that federal focus a lot more on the East Coast states, especially Pahang because I'm from Pahang. Because we have a lot of potential which is untapped. Now with the economic ECRL, the train coming on stream by 2027, I think could open a lot more growth corridors in districts like Temelloh, Maran. I think we'll see a lot more economic growth. So I wonder it can transport CO2 on board the train. If we could do that, I think it could help the heart to a big industries in Lembah Kelang as well, from the west coast of Malaysia, so that we can transport the CO2 via train. But we need to ask the experts, you don't want any trains to blow up for no reason, right? So but I don't think that's the case. That's not too flammable, I hope not. So if we could do that, find a way of doing that, I think we could spur more growth on the East Coast state of Pahang.
Good point, Datuk Niza, but the point that okay, we are in a room full of OGSCs. So I think probably from Ministry of Economy, also from the Pahang State. Let me begin with you, Dr. Hazmi. What is the call to action message for you to OGSCs related to CCUS?
On CCUS, Surami, the CCUS is a responsibilities. It is not a trend, because like it or not, we have to do something on the emissions of CO2, and at the same time, currently I don't foresee that is there any industry can avoid from emitting so-called the CO2. This is the component of our economics. So now there's reason I'm saying that CCUS is a responsibility, not a trend, because of like it or not, we have to deal with the current speed of emitting the CO2 through, of course, storing, utilizations, and capturing the carbon that we emit. So based on this thinking, the responsibility goes to everybody, not only from the perspective of policy, but also from the perspective of industry, from the perspective of the players, and is a responsibility for all of us, not only in Malaysia, I believe, it's all over the world, because of the situations from the perspective of climate change is each and every one of us feeling the hottest day by day. So there's reason this is a responsibility for us to do something for the world. So otherwise, there are a lot of so-called bencana happen not only in Malaysia or some other countries, it's all over the world. Even currently the news in Segamat is worrying us. So I think this is timely for us to do something for the world, Saudara Amir.
What about Datuk Miza? What's the call to action for you for a room full of OGACs? What do you want from us?
Well, I think from the perspective of the state of Pahang, I would welcome all the oil and gas companies to set up shop in Pahang. Now that you know that CCUS is coming on stream, this is a great opportunity for oil and gas players to be part of the supply chain. And I know it won't be easy because some of it is highly technical, but it is something, it's a challenge for local oil and gas players, for them to up their ante, so to speak, to learn new skills, maybe to partner with some specialized institutions to be part of the carbon capture and storage value chain in Pahang. Because one entity can't do it alone, because it's such a mammoth project, right? It's a huge, massive project which requires at least 7 billion ringgit to be realized to fruition. So you need a lot of players in the game, from liquefied CO2 ships, from marine specialists, piping specialists, doing the design of storage, environmental experts, marine experts, and a whole host of services and goods that we need to make this happen. So I fully welcome everyone who's interested to set up shop or invest in Pahang. Another thing is, hope we can do CCUS too, but from just CCS. Carbon capture and utilization. Whatever carbon is captured, I think it should be recycled as much as possible, right? Whatever carbon is captured, you can recycle it to turn it into synthetic fuel, for instance. You could recycle carbon to be used in the construction industry. What I hear is recycled carbon can make the construction materials a lot more stronger and durable. So that's something we need to look at. And Pahang is also interested to actually produce hydrogen, although we really can't do it by ourselves. I could only stare in amazement when Dr. Hazlan said his state revenue is 14 billion. Pahang at 1 billion we're already shouting hooray. At 14x I can just stand there and wonder what if I have 14x. That's a lot more I can do. I can probably build my own hydrogen plant, but that's not the case for Pahang. We have to be a lot more resourceful and creative to actually bring in investments, especially in the green energy space. I think with CCS we could also produce blue hydrogen, which is whatever is captured can be used to produce hydrogen using gas and methane and all that. Green hydrogen is a lot more expensive right now, right? It is from green sources, which is a lot more energy intensive, but we are hopeful that the cost of producing hydrogen will fall in the long run. You've heard Dr. Hazlan's talk that he's building 6 hydrogen plants. So a lot more plants are being built around the world. I'm sure the cost will come down. So it's a matter of scaling up where necessary. So Pahang, we'd like to position ourselves as a green state, part of the net zero solution, not part of the net zero problem. That's how we like to position ourselves, where we have a lot of greenery, we have a lot of, our national park is there. We want our Lipis Geopark, the district of Lipis, to be a UNESCO Geopark next year. And we've gazetted 100 acres to save the Malayan tiger. Otherwise, the only tigers you see are those on the football field, right? So we want to do that, and I think having CCS as part of the equation tells a good story about Pahang. We're a green state, we're sustainable, and we're open for business as far as green energy and green solutions are concerned.
Thank you.
Criticized because we are allowing so-called the carbon emitting from the oil and gas. So this is one of the criticism to us. So our answer towards that criticism is like this. yang Dr. Hazlan mentioned just now, hydrogen are coming with the so-called the solutions for the industry in the world. So there's reason CCUS is important because of without the innovations from the oil and gas players, the hydrogen will take over later on. So CCUS as a means, yes, to prolong the oil and gas industry, but of course with the mind that we are also expecting innovations and technology being used in the future for the oil and gas ceramic. So CCUS is a means for us to make sure that this industry can be prolonged, and at the same time this industry can still be a part of the economic development, not only for Malaysia but all over the world. Surami.
Thank you for that. I actually quite to the storage provider. There's like money out. But looking on the CCU perspective, you still have to capture, yes, same thing like before. There's a cost there, but if you can utilize or monetize that waste to something else, that is something like money out, potentially money in. But of course, that would involve a bit more capex to turn into whatever useful products. It's just a conjecture at this point. I like both of your points, but I think we're coming down to the last two questions. Wary of the time. Now, next question again, open to both. If we fast forward to 2035, dah first injection ni. Hopefully, 2029. What success looks like for Malaysia, for me, from the economy minister's perspective, and what is the success looks like from your perspective as from the state government?
Okay, this is my wish list, right? Right. So it's in Malay parlance, angan-angan to free. So dreaming is free. So you're free to sit down and close your eyes and envision what will happen in 2035. So to my mind, I think by 2035, by then we should be able to store at least 100 million MPTAs across the 3 CCS facilities. And I would think Pahang would have 2 hydrogen plants already. I don't know if we can do it, but we would have 2 hydrogen plants. We would have reduced our carbon emissions by 45%. We'll have a strong network of EV charging stations, and all the cars, 80% of the cars will be EV, right? And we can. What else can we do? We can have a lot more green energy sources. We can produce green hydrogen so much better, and we can recycle all the carbon that's been captured and spit it off to new industries like carbon cement and carbon for construction materials. So much better. So that's what. Yeah, and Pahang will be hopefully 150 billion ringgit economy by then. Nak kejar Sarawak tu. Although sometimes looks like tak terkejar. Yeah.
But always good to have someone like Sarawak to be there and being a beacon, of
Yeah,
that.
but say they're the benchmark. So
Yeah,
we're following closely what they're doing. You don't mind Dr. Azlan.
That was me.
So Rami, of course by 2035, fast forward, we foresee that we have a robust legal framework, especially in CCUS, not only talking about storage like we did now, we are also talking during that time the utilizations. I have made to understand that a diamond is coming from also carbon CO2 after you put a pressure. So we do hope that by 2035 we have some products which really premium and can be used as a consumables product through so-called storage effort that we did now. So robust legal framework, accelerating the climate actions. Also, we do hope by 2035, and boosting the demand in CCUS solutions. This is also something that we really need to have that kind of thinking. Of course, with the assistance by all the ONG players, we can make sure that we can achieve so-called the target of effort on CCUS by 2035. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's. I think this last question I have is very simple. It's really the final say from both of you. So we spent about an hour talking about how CCUS can be an economic driver, from a macro scale, from national level to the state level. Any final words, Dr. Azmi?
Thank you very much, Sir Rami. For me and Ministry of Economy, really would like to encourage the industries, not only from ONG, but also from the hard-to-abate industry, to do, of course, investment and effort towards capturing their carbon emissions, and then at the same time, from the R&D perspective, on how we can utilize so-called the carbon that we are capturing at this point of time, Sir Rami. Thank you.
Betul, Rizal.
I think for my final words, I'd like to see a lot more green-related investments in Pahang, other than carbon capture and storage. So we'd like to be pioneers in renewable energy as well. Some of the things we're looking at is pump storage. I've been to see a pump storage facility in China, and in China it appears that they want to do a pump hydro and storage for each of their 30 provinces. So this is one example of green investment that will benefit the state, whereby it will act as a natural storage of energy. In times of need, they will store, they will pump the electricity to the grid. But when you don't need the electricity, they will keep it. They will use it to pump water to the upper reservoir or the pump hydro storage facility. I'd like to see a lot more charging stations in Pahang. I mentioned hydrogen plants. If we can follow in Sarawak's footsteps, that would be wonderful. But really, we're quite open to all manners of green investments, and the state will do its best to facilitate incoming inbound investments of that nature. Thank you.
Okay, there you have it, folks. That we've said anything wrong, menggusar hati dan sebagainya, kita minta maaf banyak-banyak. And thank you so much to people.
Yang berhormat Datuk Niza dan yang berbahagia Datuk Nur Azmi, kindly remain on stage.